It had been the worst day at work. The kind of day where I hopped in my car, a 4-year-old black Volvo XC60, and drove away even though it was still hours before quitting time. Frustrated, defeated, and ready to scream at the world, I was one step away from having a complete meltdown. I'm Shaun Holden, and I hate my life. 4 years ago, I graduated college with a dual bachelor's degree in education and science, and somehow I have earned my master's of science degree since then. I'm a high school science teacher, and it is the hardest job in the world. Correction, I was a high school science teacher. You'd think working with older kids wouldn't have that many headaches, but you'd be wrong. Some kids, especially freshmen, still act like third graders, and they are alongside the older, entitled kids who are trying to prove they're adults and deal with adult problems, like should they go to a Halloween party or go trick-or-treating. Ironically, they still expect mommy and daddy to buy them the latest iPhone or the latest Nikes or Reeboks or whatever. Half of the kids look too young to be in high school, while the other half look too old, and they are all mixed in together. Throw in all the cliques and clubs and whatever, and it's a powder keg. As I discovered a little while ago, the immaturity of elementary school combined with the furious hormones of high school. It takes a special kind of person to teach here, and I'm not that person. I drove around for an hour, and finally ended up at my apartment with a take-out combo burger and fries and a shake from Gordon's Gourmet Burger. As I walked into my apartment, my phone rang. Caller ID read that my principal, Dr. Dolores Drake, was on the other end. I thought about ignoring the call, but I set my phone down and put it on speaker. "Yes," I said. "Shaun, I understand you're upset," Dr. Drake began, "but you can't quit, not after all the time and money you spent getting your degrees and certificates, not after teaching for 4 years. You've completed 3 seminars to improve your skill set even. You've had to sacrifice a lot to get here. You're a respected teacher, and I won't accept your resignation." "I'm not respected by anyone at that school," I said, and almost shouted. "Dr. Drake, I can't do this anymore. I'm not coming back." She let out a long sigh and slowly said, "Just so you know, Edith, the social worker is with me, and Dr. Lambert is listening in. We are recording this conversation so we can refer to it later. We are your friends. We want to help you. Tell us what happened." A quick clarification, an older, unfamiliar female voice said, "That must be Dr. Lambert. You're Shaun Holden, age 27, graduated with a Bachelor's of Science degree 4 years ago, and completed your master's degree during your first 2 years of teaching, correct?" "That's a lot to dump on a new teacher," Edith said. My turn to sigh. I had worked with Edith over the last few years, and I liked her. Dr. Lambert was an unknown from the district office I'd never met. A teacher quitting mid-year and in front of his class must have made quite a splash. I finally said, "Wasn't it you, Dr. Drake, who said at my employee orientation 4 years ago that while we work at the school, our sexual preferences should be sealed in a box and put on a shelf in the closet, never to be spoken of?" "I've made that speech many times, and it is for your protection," Dr. Drake said. "Some parents don't understand the diversity in a high school and will go straight to the school board demanding the removal of anyone they don't like, whether they're gay or Democrat, Republican or vegan or Catholic or Buddhist, or don't have the right kind of degree. 3 years ago, Mrs. Childress was up in arms because the gym teacher was teaching 1 period of math. That teacher had a minor in math and had completed their state certification, but that wasn't good enough. Mrs. Childress went to the board, and to avoid problems, the district transferred the teacher across town. "I'm not going through that," I said. "Tell us what happened," Edith said. "It all happened because I'm gay. You knew that, right?" I said. I didn't know that, Dr. Drake said. After today, yes, she did. Dr. Drake had given me a diplomatic lie in order to get the conversation started. But I could imagine Edith nodding as she said, "You don't work with someone for years without picking up a hint or two." "You suspected?" I stated. "A lot of our friends did," Edith said. "Tell us what happened because I want to keep you from making a mistake." "If you quit now," Dr. Drake said, "it will leave us short a science teacher, and with the ongoing teacher shortage, it will be a while before we can find a replacement. It's best we find a way to resolve this before it turns into a crisis." I kept my tongue because it was already a crisis, but I tried to be polite when I said, "Teaching has been getting harder to cope with lately. I can't stay in control of my classes, and it doesn't matter if I call parents or talk to colleagues. It just is not working. You even put me on the mentoring program because I'm doing so bad. Dr. Drake, you said at my last employee evaluation that if I didn't improve my classroom discipline and bring my students under control, you'd write me up and wouldn't renew my contract for next year. Why wait until next year to be fired when I can leave today?" "I have a copy of that evaluation in front of me," Dr. Drake said. "Shaun, I'm hard on you because you have the potential to be a fine teacher. I don't want you to go. Let's talk this through. What made today different from every other day? Let's start with first period." "You already know," I said. "First period was the normal disaster. We got started, and no matter what I did or said, nobody would be quiet. I had issues with students targeting my whiteboard with spit wads, Vaseline smeared on my door handle, more swearing and talking than I knew what to do with. I wasn't going to get angry this time, so I ignored it as best I could and kept on with the lesson. Class ended. We survived." "It's not just you. Every teacher is having a hard time with these students," Dr. Drake said. "Shaun, why didn't you call for help?" Edith asked. "You're joking, right?" I said. "Edith, timeouts and parent phone calls and fancy demerit systems only work with the good kids. Besides, any teacher who calls the office for help more than 5 times a semester is put on probation. Whoops, I'm already there, and we are secretly referred to by everybody else as bad teachers. Besides, I don't have any seniority, so every bad kid that the other science teachers don't want in their class is dumped in mine. Every good kid that shows some aptitude is taken out of my class and put in theirs. Then their classes have an upper limit of 30 kids. So the senior teachers have their perfect class sizes and perfect students and look good to the district. Their overflow kids are shoved into my classes. Wonder why my classes have a minimum of 47 students? I asked and learned that my maximum class size is 50. Compare my class sizes with theirs and you'll see I'm telling the truth. Complaining to the counselors doesn't do any good because the other science teachers are old buddies with the counselors and get the pick of the cream while I get all their crap. Those classes you're referring to are the advanced classes, Dr. Drake said. Stop feeling like you're picked on. Those are the college-bound kids who are serious about school. Naturally, those classes are smaller, so the students can get individual attention from their teachers. But the state requires all students to take science, and the other students have to go somewhere, which means they go to you. So you give them to the newbie who doesn't know anything, I said. I understand your bitterness, but we need to focus. First period went as expected, Dr. Lambert said. Let's move to second period. I took roll and had the kids pass in their homework, I said, and then everything fell apart. The teacher across the hall, Dr. Drake said, your mentor teacher, Mrs. Kim, reported the noise level had become so loud that you had to scream to be heard. Oh, God. Maybe it was my imagination, but there seemed to be something condescending about her tone. She always looked down on me. I'm getting tired of it. I couldn't control my voice as the anger leaked out. I tried not to shout as I said, So once again, I can't live up to your standards. Mrs. Kim's classes have 12 college-bound students in them, max, and she has 2 periods off so she can plan district curriculum. Meanwhile, I have 47 students in each of my classes, and when I finally have a break, I have to talk to Dr. Drake or Mrs. Kim about improving my skills as a teacher. I don't even get a chance to plan or grade until after school. I don't care if you give me a negative job report. F you, Dr. Drake. Goodbye. I was about to hang up when Edith said, "Shaun, don't hang up. I'm your friend. Make me understand what happened." "Shaun," Dr. Lambert said, "it is clear that there are serious issues between you and Dr. Drake, which I would like to address, but at a later time. For now, she will remain quiet while we talk about the incident." "Fine," I said. Right after roll, I stood at the whiteboard, scribbling down the page numbers for the readings for our next class, when suddenly my class started giggling, and some people made comments that didn't make sense, and the noise level, already loud, grew louder. "Continue," Dr. Lambert said. "As you've said, you've quit, so there can be no judgment, only understanding. Please continue and include all the details you can think of." "The paper airplane hit the whiteboard next to me and landed in the chalk tray," I said. I don't know why we still call it the chalk tray, because we use dry erase markers now. Anyway, I unfolded the airplane, and there were pictures somebody had secretly taken from last Saturday night. I'd gone to a gay club to have a couple of beers and relax. I met somebody. His name was Oscar, and we clicked. They had taken pictures of Oscar and I, dancing and kissing, shooting some pool. Basically, having a little fun. The captions on the paper said, "Guess whose least favorite teacher is gay?" and "Do we want him at our school? Let's get him fired." "Tell us about Oscar," Edith said. "Is he cute?" Edith always had a way to make things seem less serious, so I answered and said, "Oscar is 4 years younger than me, has dark Italian hair, and dark Italian skin, and dark Italian eyes, and he was about to graduate in spring with a degree in botanical science. He wanted to be an organic farmer, even had a bit of land up north. Getting started would require a chunk of change, but he smiled as he spoke about his dream. For a few minutes, it became my dream too. For a few minutes, I was happy." "You're not happy here?" Dr. Lambert asked. "No," I said. "We are only trying to make you a better teacher," Dr. Drake interrupted. "Be quiet, Dr. Drake, please," Dr. Lambert said, her voice growing brittle. "Shaun, proceed." I had danced around the problem long enough. Time to bite the bullet and get to the incident. I quietly said, "Let me back up to Bethany Childress. Her mommy wants her to get an A. Bethany struggles to get a C." "Go on," Dr. Lambert said. For some reason, her comment annoyed me, and I said, "There I was, standing in front of my class. I'd just unfolded the paper airplane and discovered it had pictures of me with Oscar. I'd just been outed to the school. I turned around to face my class, humiliated. I don't know how I kept from screaming. Maybe I had figured out that it wouldn't do any good. Somebody had made sure everybody in my class had the flyers. Guess who had the smirk of the year and a pile of undistributed flyers? Bethany Childress. She smiled at me, held her phone up, and then hit send. She made sure I saw her." "You're sure it was her?" Dr. Lambert asked. "I watched her," I said. I suddenly guessed what she was up to. It was her revenge because I wouldn't sign her cheerleader application, because according to school regulations, only students with a B or higher can be on a team. Bethany hadn't just made flyers. She also emailed pictures of me with Oscar to everybody. In seconds, the entire school knew I was gay and that I had been at the gay bar on Saturday and had met somebody. It didn't end there. "Details are important," Dr. Lambert said. "The noise level went ballistic," I said. "I've never been laughed at like that before. Mrs. Kim ran in screaming at me for my lack of classroom control. Several of her students followed her, and they got hold of the flyers and had seen the emails when Mrs. Kim had not. This is high school. News of me being gay went viral in 2 seconds. Jeff Malcolm, one of the students from my class, must have run and grabbed Dr. Drake, and when she showed up, she screamed at me just as much as Mrs. Kim did. Did she care that I'd just been outed to the entire school? No. She only screamed about how bad of a teacher I was in front of my students. I'd been screamed at, ridiculed, embarrassed, been outed, disrespected. I couldn't bring the class under control. My voice was growing hoarse. I'd been mentored, and I'd been on probation since the 2nd week of school. On top of that, I'd been humiliated by my students. This wasn't why I had become a teacher. I'd had enough. Dr. Drake had made it very clear I would be let go by the end of the year. My students had made it very clear that they hated me. While Dr. Drake berated me, little Miss Bethany Childress laughed her head off. She'd gotten her revenge. With one of the whiteboard markers, I wrote, "I quit," on one of the flyers and handed it to Dr. Drake. "I understand that must have been a very stressful moment," Dr. Lambert said, "and I'm sorry it happened to you." Dr. Lambert's quiet diplomacy was making me angry, but I kept my mouth shut. "Dr. Drake," Dr. Lambert asked, "when did you understand what was going on?" "She never took the time to understand," I yelled. "She screamed at me as I left. I ran to the faculty lunchroom, grabbed my lunch, and got the hell out of Dodge. All while the entire school laughed at me. Even the secretaries in the office were looking at their phones and laughing." "Dr. Drake, your comments?" Dr. Lambert asked. I didn't realize what had happened until I'd gotten back to my office and finally focused on the flyer," Dr. Drake said. "Shaun, please accept my apologies. I should have handled that better. The school needs you to come back. Science teachers are in high demand, and we can't find another qualified professional in either the teacher applicant pool or the substitute pool." "You tell me," I said, "I'm a bad teacher and now you want me back? No." "Leaving like you did opens you up to a breach of contract suit, with a formal censure put into your file," Dr. Lambert said. "You risk losing your teaching license and could become unhireable at any school." "So my students humiliate me, and now you punish me?" I shouted as I opened up my burger and squirted a lot of ketchup on it. "Go ahead, fire me, censure me, take my teaching license away, because I don't care. I'm not coming back." "Shaun, you don't mean that," Edith asked. I never got an answer from Dr. Drake and Dr. Lambert as they quietly whispered to each other. Edith went quiet. She always liked to text, so that was probably what she was doing. I was the worst teacher in the school, humiliated by my students, and now my principal. One guess which department Dr. Lambert worked in. Probably HR. Enough is enough. I had a little pride left, so I quickly said, "Goodbye. It hasn't been fun." "Shaun," Dr. Lambert quickly said, "I don't blame you for being angry and hurt. Emotions are raw right now, so let's put everything on hold and talk tomorrow. Come into the school. You name the time, and we can sit down and discuss this." "After everything that happened today," I softly said, "you already have my resignation." "Please, Shaun," Edith said, "don't do this. We care about you." I ended the call. Dr. Drake called me back, but I let it go to voicemail. I remembered the fun I had had last Saturday. He had made me feel like I was someone special. His name was Oscar, and I was happy with him. It was the first time I'd been happy in a very long time. I should warn him in case this mess turns into a scandal. Who am I kidding? This wouldn't rate a footnote on the back page of the newspaper. This is the 2020s. Nobody would care that some gay teacher's life had just gotten flushed, except me. The funny thing was that, though I hurt, I felt better about my life than I had for a long time. I'd been trapped in a job I hated. Not anymore. Saturday night, Oscar and I had swapped contact info. I called him up, hoping that what we shared had been more than a fun, casual drive-by at the bar. We had had lots of dancing and drinking, and we talked for hours, but no late-night parking break. We had connected, and we had fun. Was that enough to be friends? But somebody at that bar had recognized me as a teacher at the high school. Somebody who knew Bethany Childress. Oscar's smiling voice answered the phone and said, "Hey, Shaun, I was hoping to hear from you." I swallowed and said, "Something serious happened. Do you have a minute to talk?" Suddenly, Oscar was all kinds of serious, and he said, "For you, take 2. The words just rushed out of me, and I couldn't stop the emotions. Somebody took pictures of the 2 of us together and spread them around the school as a way to get revenge on me. Then the principal yelled at me. The whole school laughed at me. I couldn't deal, so I quit. His name was Oscar, and with one phrase, he made me feel better. "You've already come out to your friends and family. I've already come out. We'll survive. Besides, you've hated your job for years. The only issue I see is that you should have given them 2 weeks' notice. Other than that, who cares?" "I didn't want this to affect you," I said. "You're too deep into your own head to think clearly," Oscar said. "I'll be over in 30 minutes. I've got something I want to show you, and since you're out of a job and free tomorrow, and I assume you teacher types know how to write better than us regular people, maybe you can help me out." "What is it?" I asked. Talking with Oscar already made me feel better. "It's about 3 hours away, and cell coverage is lousy," Oscar said. The smile in his voice brought out the smile inside me. Oscar continued, "And wear something you don't mind getting dirty, because we will get dirty. Do you mind sharing a motel room with me? We won't do anything weird because it isn't the 5th or 6th date, and I don't want you to think I'm taking advantage of you in your vulnerable state." "Vulnerable?" I asked. "Vulnerable," he said. "Let's get you out of this town, so pack an overnight bag. We won't be coming back until tomorrow, or the day after. You need a break, and I want to show you my dream." 35 minutes later, Oscar picked me up in his truck, a white Toyota Tacoma. Then we took the turnoff and drove north on the highway. We made good time, and we had a 2-hour conversation. Oscar let me go in depth about my problems with teaching, with my troubles with students, with parents, with my principal. He let me vent about today, and in the process, I told him about college, finding a job, and somewhere leaving the old-style happy me behind. Somewhere in the last 4 years, my dreams about making a difference had faded, to be replaced with constant criticism and the reality that I had failed. Oscar left the highway for a smaller highway and entered an old, small town. Pikes Field, population 5,500. We passed an actual town hall that looked like it had been uprooted from the 19th century, a one-room post office, an ancient gas station with the oldest pumps I'd ever seen, and a couple of old diners, a barber shop, and even an old movie theater that only played one movie at a time. They had one cell tower standing to one side of the town. Had I gone back in time? Nope. 2 teenage boys with earbuds loitered by the movie theater, and a group of kids by the gas station speed texted. Kids are kids, wherever we go. We passed an old school that would house maybe 1/4 of what my former high school would have housed. "That's where I went," Oscar said. "It's both middle school and high school, and all the surrounding towns bus their kids here." Just past the school was something unusual. We were definitely in small-town America. "Is that a bandstand?" "I've never seen one before," I said, as we circled around a large traffic circle. The bandstand, a circular roof held up by 6 support struts, was painted white and gray and was in the middle of the traffic circle. "Yep," Oscar said. "All this land used to belong to Mr. Ebenezer Pike 150 years ago. That's why it's called Pikes Field. I used to live here until I moved to the city. My mom still does." "Why did you leave?" I asked. "Sometimes I ask myself that, Oscar said. I left because there is no nightlife here, and if there was another gay person in town, they hadn't come out of the closet yet. I guess I was bored and lonely. And now you're coming back? I asked. Dad died, cancer, nearly a year ago. I've inherited the family farm, Oscar said, and I have big plans for it. But I need a partner. When we talked the other night, I kind of sensed that we were kindred spirits because we have so much in common. I know I don't know anything about you except you really hate your life as a teacher, and you have a science degree. I'm about to get a botany degree. You can teach. I don't have the patience for it. My long-term goals include an educational center where we teach people about organic gardening. I'm hoping that you'll listen to my ideas and I can change your mind about the direction of your life. I was so far from everything I knew that I actually relaxed. Something about Oscar's enthusiasm made me want to abandon teaching forever and sign up right now to be his partner. A small part of me hesitated. I would still be using one of my degrees, the Master's of Science, so all my days at the university wouldn't be wasted. Why did I hesitate? I didn't know the first thing about farming, let alone organic farming. My life was about to change. But was this the direction I wanted? I know that look, Oscar said, and I don't blame you. Meet a stranger and next thing you know you're listening to a sales pitch. Just keep an open mind, and if you don't like anything, give the word and I'll drive you back immediately. Our first stop was his mom's 2-bedroom basement apartment. It had been a while since Oscar had visited, and she had made pepperoni-studded lasagna and garlic bread for dinner, with brownie a la mode for dessert. As Oscar and his mom caught up, I glanced at my phone. I'd gotten 30 new messages and texts since I had quit this morning. Edith was worried about me. Mrs. Kim apologized about not understanding the seriousness of the situation, and a bunch of my coworkers wanted news. Dr. Drake said not to throw away my career and to call her if I needed to talk. Even Dr. Lambert had called me and left a message to call her back and let her know what time I'd be available to come in and chat. How did I feel about teaching? That was an unfair question because I had hated my job for years. I only needed a push to get out the door, and this was it. Only one message deserved a response. Mom's. I guess the school had sent someone to my apartment, but when I didn't respond, they tracked down my emergency contact, which was Mom. I sent Mom a text telling her I was all right, that I'd quit my job, and that I'd give her details in a few days. After dinner, in the crisp October air, we drove to Oscar's old family farm. Nobody had lived here since his dad had died, but somebody had kept it up. The lawn was long, but neat and trimmed. The old farmhouse could use a new paint job, but somebody could move in right now. However, the fields were barren and unplanted, but the flower beds around the house had a profusion of bright yellow sunflowers, dark red mums, violet coneflowers, and tall, pale purple phlox. It looks nice, I said. Oscar gave me a little smile at the compliment and said, I stop by every other weekend to fix the place up. It's kind of my sanctuary, as well as my dream. There were a couple of old cars and tractors parked in front of the house, and the windows were covered in dust. An old set of dog dishes stood near the screen door. I felt melancholic looking at it, because it was like me. Sad, abandoned, once filled with dreams and now empty. What was I even doing up in Pike's Field? Oscar was a complete stranger, showing another complete stranger a bit of kindness. What was I going to do with my life? I know it needs a little work, Oscar said, but come inside and let me show you my dream. The irony. Reality hadn't destroyed Oscar's dream, like it had mine. Sheets covered the furniture, but Oscar led us past all that and into the dining room. He carefully removed a sheet from the dining room table, to reveal his dream. Oscar must have been good in art, because he'd made a diorama of the property, with a miniature farmhouse and miniature barn and several miniature buildings of things he wanted to build in the future, even a couple of hothouses that he could grow plants in during the winter. Several garden beds surrounded the house, and lush fields extended throughout the property. In addition to the gardens, he had planned for an orchard. Next to the side of the house grew a floral garden, and within a short distance of the house stood several beehives. "Marketing your own honey as well?" I asked. "Long-term goals," he said. "I was even thinking about a cutting garden. For flowers and stuff. Florists could come up here and take what they need for a fee, or maybe we could have some kind of delivery service and deliver fresh flowers and veggies." "Reality check," I said. "Pike's Field is so small, how would you deliver enough food to make a profit?" "I was thinking," Oscar said, "we'd have a couple of trucks that would make the rounds to all the towns, diners, restaurants, grocery stores, and we'd have a presence at all the local farmer markets. Then once we're known, people could come to us and pick what they want." "Have you got the trucks?" I asked. "No, and I don't have the drivers," Oscar said, "or financing, or the gardens, or anything. It's still a dream, but I need help to make it a reality. You'd be my first employee, or as that partner. The other night, when we got to talking, it seemed like maybe we could work together. What do you think?" "You take care of the farming, and I take care of the science?" I asked. His dream, his energy, the passion he felt about his dream, made me wonder if his dream could be my dream. I'm fresh out of dreams anyway. Oscar powered up a tractor and took me on a tour of the farm. The fields and gardens were one step shy of being abandoned, but Oscar explained his vision. He was so desperate to make somebody understand and share his dream, and for a little while, I did. As we came back to the house, he grew serious and said, "I've been thinking. Breach of contract can be serious and might make it hard to get another job. I think you should talk to your school." "What do you mean?" I asked. "Not to go back and teach," he said, "but maybe they can make things right, or you can sign some official I quit document. Just do whatever you need to get closure and avoid a permanent scar on your record. Since I'm kind of involved anyway, I'll come with you, and let's show them that we're proud to be who we are. We'll hold hands all the way. What if we kissed in front of your principal?" "You'll come with me?" I asked. "Right after breakfast," he said. It was well after the school had closed when I called Dr. Lambert. It was her private cell number, and she answered immediately. "Shaun, you might not believe this, but I'm glad you called. Are you all right? Where are you?" "Pike's Field. Oscar and I went for a long drive," I said. Getting away was exactly what I needed. "I love long drives too," she said. "Do you know someone up there?" "Oscar's mom lives up here, and he owns the family farm," I said. "I want to avoid a breach of contract, but I won't return to the classroom. We'll be back by 11, and I want you to tell me what my options are. Will that work for you?" "Make it noon. I have a meeting, and I'll provide lunch," she said. "Have you reconsidered your resignation?" "We both know that I'm not cut out to be a teacher," I said. "And after what happened this morning, I learned that everybody considers me a joke. Being a teacher is nothing but a failed dream. It's time to move on. I'll sign whatever paperwork I need to, jump through whatever hoops you guys require, but be aware that this is the last time I'm coming to that school." "I understand," she said. Maybe it was my imagination, but her voice sounded sad. Later that night, Oscar and I shared a room in the local motel. Pike's Field only had one motel. We had gone to bed, in our separate beds, and we chatted about the farm, about the absurdity of the two of us becoming friends, about his dreams, about what the future would mean for us. In the quiet of the night, the stress of the day finally caught up to me. My mind replayed the events over and over. I turned on my side, so Oscar, if he was even awake, couldn't see me. It's hard to realize that my dreams had been dead for a long time. I had made no difference in anybody's life, but had succeeded in ruining my own. The sadness hit me hard. I had failed my dreams. I had failed my students. I had failed the people I worked with. And in the process, wasted nearly a decade of my life. Everything I considered important was worthless. The pain in my chest was so bad that I held my breath to keep quiet. I must have made a little sound, maybe a sob, because Oscar left his bed and crawled beside me, big spoon to my little spoon. He held me and said, "Tell me what's wrong." We were strangers in the middle of nowhere, and I had just had the worst day of my life. I kept dumping on Oscar, but he never complained. Somehow, I whispered, "What do you do when your dreams turn into ashes?" "In gardening," Oscar sleepily said, "we use ashes as fertilizer. Roses love a little wood ash mixed in the soil around them. Until you find another dream. Borrow mine. I don't mind." His words somehow gave me hope, and his warmth comforted me enough so I could fall asleep. I woke about 7 and discovered that Oscar had held me all night. What made me so special that a complete stranger would care for me like this? As we left the motel, I softly said, "Thank you for being here." He turned around and softly hugged me. Our kiss was casual and accidental, and made my heart skip. We pulled into the high school parking lot about 11:30. First lunch started at 11 and lasted until 11:45. Second lunch started at 11:45 and lasted until 12:30. Walking among these kids, knowing that I had been outed yesterday, knowing they wanted me fired, left me feeling queasy. "Let's get this done," I softly said to Oscar. I quickly texted Dr. Lambert that we had arrived. Oscar took my hand, and we walked toward the school, toward the condemnation. Any good memories of this place had been destroyed. "Your hand is cold," Oscar said. "It's stupid, but I've never been so scared," I whispered back. "Just remember," Oscar said, playfully giving my hand a squeeze. "It's the two of us against all of them. They don't stand a chance, so there's nothing to be afraid of." I snorted and took a deep breath. A lot of students stared at me and Oscar holding hands. Some of them used to be my students, and more kids appeared as we approached the main doors. No doubt anybody who hadn't seen the pictures from yesterday would have seen them by now. Where was Bethany Childress? She had won. No doubt current pictures of me and Oscar holding hands were already being circulated among the lunch crowd. A lot of kids came over and watched us as we entered the building. We kissed in front of all of them, and then walked to the main office. Edith came running out of the office, smiling and squealing, and she first gave me a hug, then she gave one to Oscar. "You're just in time. It's good to see that you are all right. I've been worried," she said. "We went for a long drive yesterday," I said. "It's beautiful up at Pikesfield." "So I've heard," she said. "We're meeting in the library. Dr. Drake's office was too small, and so were the conference room. I know this is fast, but we're looking at a public relations disaster if we don't handle this now." I shook my head a little and said, "You've got the wrong idea. I'm only here to sign a few papers and find out what I need to avoid breach of contract. That's it. I'm done." "Shaun doesn't want to be around this school any longer than necessary," Oscar said. "This place destroyed his dreams." Edith nodded, seeming a little sad, and led the way to the library. I immediately saw why none of the conference rooms would do. Dr. Lambert's 11 o'clock meeting was a big meeting. 4 uniformed police officers, 4 uniformed district security officers, a man I recognized as being the district lawyer, somebody with him I guess was an intern or an aide, the school union rep, our school HR rep, the district HR rep, the counselor for the senior students, Bethany Childress, her parents, a man I guessed was her lawyer, the staff psychologist, the district psychologist, Dr. Drake, a couple of vice principals, and 3 people who Edith later informed me were on the Safe Schools Committee, the committee who decided the fate of students who were in a lot of trouble. The 3 people of the Safe Schools Committee were quietly talking amongst themselves. They had several of Bethany Childress's flyers on the table in front of them, including the one that said, "I quit." Next to them was a phone in a plastic evidence bag. Everybody wore lanyards with their name and position on them, except me. I'd left mine back at my apartment. Once I turned it in, I would be officially done with this place. Why would all these people be here? I'm considered a bad teacher that's better off fired. The panic flooded my body, and I felt like I was about to throw up. All these people were here just because I was outed and then quit? Was breach of contract a criminal offense? Was being a gay teacher a crime? Why else would the police be here? I was so bad at teaching, they were about to destroy me. I should have stayed in Pikes Field and never returned. Oscar must have felt me trembling because he wrapped his arms around me. I hugged Oscar and whispered, "I've never been so scared. I shouldn't have come." An older woman with gray hair that had once been black, wearing a black business suit and skirt and thick glasses, walked over to me, a grim look about her eyes, and she said, "I'm Dr. Lambert. Thank you for coming, Shaun. This must be Oscar?" I could only nod. God, was I scared. "Pleasure to meet you, ma'am," Oscar said. Her lanyard said, "Dr. Samantha Lambert, Associate Superintendent, the 2nd most powerful person in the district." I'm screwed. "I was hoping," she said, "we could have the meeting with Bethany Childress finished up before you arrived. Have a seat, and I hope you like Mexican food, because that's what I arranged. We'll have lunch later and sort through this mess." "But I thought," I stammered, "the police." "You have to understand that Shaun is very sensitive," Oscar said. "That's one of the things that attracted me to him. He's taken this mess very hard." "Oscar, Shaun," Dr. Lambert said, "you have nothing to worry about. I look forward to meeting both of you," Dr. Lambert said. As we sat, Bethany Childress squealed and yelled, "Mr. Holden, you have to tell them it was a joke. I wasn't really trying to get you fired. I didn't mean to cause trouble. You know how silly I am. It was only a misunderstanding. Tell them I think you're a great teacher, the best in the school, and everybody already knew you were gay, so I didn't tell them anything new. Please, tell them it was just a joke. I didn't mean anything by it." Bethany was out of her seat and running towards me, but she didn't get far. The police escorted her back to her seat. Her mother suddenly yelled, "Mr. Holden, you have to say something. Bethany turned 18 last weekend, and she's being treated as an adult. That's not fair. She's still in high school, and she graduates in 6 months. They took my baby's phone away, and they might expel her. She made a mistake. It was only a joke. Tell them she's innocent, and if you don't, you've ruined her life." "She's 18, Oscar said. "She ruined her own life. Dr. Lambert, I want to get Shaun away from these people. He doesn't need this." Before Dr. Lambert could say anything, the leader of the Safe Schools Committee said, "Let's resume. Everyone take their seats." Quickly, everyone did. "We'll keep this short because Dr. Drake has a school to run," the leader of the committee said. "Bethany Childress, for the charges of harassment, please note that our district and state has a zero-tolerance policy concerning harassment. And based on evidence, you are guilty of many counts. As you are both a student and over the age of accountability, we face a rare situation in which you will be held accountable by both the school district and local law enforcement. We have determined that you will be expelled from the district for a period of no less than 1 year. You will not be allowed to graduate or involve yourself in any graduation activities. Normally, we would send you to juvenile hall for 2 weeks, but in your case, that won't work. What you did was a felony. We'll leave the lawyers to figure out if it is a first degree or second degree. As you are now considered an adult, we have remanded your case to the regular court systems, and these fine gentlemen in blue will escort you to county lockup for booking and processing." The police put handcuffs on her and led her out of the library. Her mom followed, yelling, "My baby is not a criminal. You will take those off right now." The police ignored Mrs. Childress. They led Bethany away. All I felt was numb. I caught a glimpse of the crowd outside the library, and their faces upon seeing Bethany hauled away. Some kids laughed. Some kids looked shocked. And then the kids saw me and Oscar. One of the kids gave us a thumbs up as the doors closed. Bethany's parents followed close behind. "Shaun, now it's our turn," Dr. Drake said. "You and Oscar follow me to the conference room." Most of the people left, with the exception of my union rep, Edith, the district HR rep, our school HR rep, our staff psychologist, Dr. Lambert, and Dr. Drake, and my mentor teacher, Mrs. Kim. Dr. Drake led us to the conference room in the counseling center, where the delightful smells of catered Mexican food filled the air. A little sign next to the food said, "Catered by Lupita's Mexican Bar and Grill." It reminded me of how hungry I was. Several student attendance aides watched us and snapped a couple quick pictures. The counselors waited for us, and they spoke with a man I didn't know. His lanyard said, Dr. Philip McDonald, District Diversity Specialist. "Fill your plates," Dr. Lambert said. "I always do better with these conversations when food is present." "Dr. Lambert," I said, not sitting down and not getting any food, "I don't know what you're trying to do, but yesterday I quit. As everybody has pointed out, I'm not a teacher. I can't reach these kids. I can't control a classroom. Nobody respects me. I'm a joke, and everybody here knows it. You've seen the employee reviews Dr. Drake wrote about me. I can't cut it, so why even try? Yesterday humiliated me. I'm not coming back." "Shaun," Dr. Lambert said, "the purpose of this meeting is to talk about options to avoid a breach of contract situation. But first, settle down and get something to eat. We are all on the same side, and we want to find a solution that is best for you." "You don't know how much Shaun wanted to be a teacher," Oscar said, "but you destroyed him. You destroyed his dreams." "I'm sorry that happened," Dr. McDonald, the district diversity specialist, said. "I want you to understand that I personally looked at your allegations about class sizes and favoritism among the counseling department. Though technically the practice of the senior teachers handling the advanced college track classes, and thus having very small class sizes, and having more committed students is legal, it does mean that the newer, less experienced teachers have huge class sizes and are filled with the more trouble-prone students. It doesn't make it a fair practice." Oscar muttered something that carried to everyone in the room. "Automatically making the senior teachers get tiny classes and all the good students, while teachers like Shaun get all the bad students and are thereby fired. Sounds fair to me." Mrs. Kim looked a little uncomfortable. "We will be reviewing that practice and making changes," Dr. Lambert replied. "Let me apologize, Shaun," Dr. Drake said, "for the situation. You have the potential to be a fine teacher, but I and my colleagues might have taken advantage of you. We really do want you back." Mrs. Kim leaned forward and said, "I had to cover your afternoon classes, and I realized that what we did to you was unfair. We really do need you in the science department, and I personally promise to make sure that favoritism never happens again and the bad kids are fairly distributed." Oscar rolled his eyes, looked at me, and said, "She handled your classes for 1 day and she gave up. Wasn't this the lady with the cushy job you said kept screaming at you?" Once again, Mrs. Kim looked uncomfortable. I placed a couple of cheese enchiladas, some rice and beans, and a shredded beef taco on a plate. I sat down and tried a bite. Delicious and spicy. I quickly said, "I'm not coming back." Then your classes will be divided among all the other science teachers, Mrs. Kim said. Our workload will be a nightmare, and it will destroy our college programs. How do you expect us to teach? F you, I said. Leaving my food untouched, I stood up and looked at Oscar. Why did I expect we could have a conversation? Dr. Lambert, go ahead, censure me, reprimand me, take away my teaching license, deduct a fine from my last paycheck, or take the whole damn thing. I don't care anymore. This place was hell to work at. Oscar, let's go. His name was Oscar. We were barely more than strangers, but he'd been there for me. My dream was gone, so I'd lean on his. He left his plate on the table, took my hand, and we walked out. I think I was beginning to love him. Mrs. Kim, you are a jerk, Edith said, running up to us. Shaun, Oscar, Dr. Lambert started to say, we need to talk. I'm done with all of you, I yelled. Just leave me alone. Shaun, Edith said, I'll walk you to your car. First, let's stop by my office because I packed up all the stuff in your desk and it's in a box. I wish I could have gone with you two up to Pikes Field. Some of the teachers at this school get to me too. Her office was one hallway away, and we quickly went there. On her desk was a shoebox. Guess I didn't have that much stuff. I opened it. It was filled with miscellaneous things like pencils and pens, an old stapler, a small pride flag pin, and a small note that said, "Thank you for being someone I can look up to." It was signed by one of my students, Jeff Malcolm, and he'd given it to me the second week of school. Another student I'd failed. Before you go, Dr. Lambert said from the doorway, I need your signature on several documents stating that you are resigning. There are about 50 days until the end of the semester, but your accrued sick leave will only cover about 15 of that. You have a choice in regards to the breach of contract. There is a penalty, and it is equivalent to 2 paychecks, but you keep your teaching license. Nothing goes into your employment file, no reprimand or anything. It means that if you change your mind, you could get a job at another school sometime in the next 5 years. Or we talk about finishing the semester at a different school. I did some checking. Pikes Field only has a full-time substitute with an unfinished math degree, not even a science degree. They would welcome a fully accredited science teacher. You can stay there until the semester change, or the end of the year, or longer, meaning we can bypass that silly breach of contract issue. I stayed quiet because my soul was so raw. You could stay at the house, and I'll come up every weekend, Oscar said. Maybe I could help you with your dream, and maybe you could help me with mine. I'd like that, I tenderly said. I leaned over and kissed him, and then turned to Dr. Lambert and asked one little question. Why would you help me like this? She gave me a playful smile and said, I don't believe you're a bad teacher. You remind me of my wife. You need to take life and teaching at your own pace, a slower pace, not somebody else's. Come back to the conference room and finish your food. Take seconds even, and let's talk about your future. It's going to be amazing. Epilogue 1. After lunch and signing a bunch of forms and talking to the principal of Pikes Field through a video chat, I finally relaxed. I never had to come back to this school again. Oscar had his arm about me, and my future looked different than I had ever imagined. I started at my new school the Monday following, as soon as the paperwork was done. I'd close down my apartment and stay at Oscar's place in the meantime. Mr. Holden, wait! A guy's voice yelled after us. Oscar and I turned to see a student run up to us. Jeff Malcolm? He had been in my class when the incident went down and had run for the principal, never realizing Dr. Drake would act like she did. Jeff, I said, this is Oscar. Your boyfriend, I know, Jeff said. Oscar kept a straight face because we hadn't made it to the boyfriend stage, but we didn't need to tell Jeff that. What can I do for you? I asked. I don't blame you for leaving, Jeff said. He took his backpack off and fished out a card. There's a bunch of us that are going to miss you, especially me. Because of yesterday, I stopped hiding. I came out to my family, told them everything, told them about what happened at school, told them how scared I was of being rejected, of being afraid at school. You know what? Our conversation lasted 2 hours, and my parents listened to me. We hugged and cried and went out to dinner. I learned a lot about science from you, but you also taught me that it's okay to be me, even if some people are mean. I'm glad I was in your class. I'm glad Oscar had driven, because a strange emotion filled my heart. I had made a difference for somebody. Epilogue 2. I worked winters at the school in Pikesfield, while working summers and holidays making the organic farm, Oscar's dream, come to life. After 2 years, we still weren't making a profit, but we were holding even, more or less. I quit the job at the school to focus on the farm, on making Oscar's dream a reality. It took more work than either of us dreamed, but it slowly grew. It turns out that our biggest money maker were the special events. We let clients rent the house and surrounding yard for weddings or parties or photo shoots or whatever. It didn't take long before we had every weekend between April and November booked. Our honey was also a big seller. We were still trying to get the organic fruits and vegetables market going. We had made connections with all the farmers' markets, and I learned how to drive our first truck and got my license. We were on our way. Guests loved visiting us. Oscar taught me all about flowers, and the solitude away from the chaos of the school became healing. Between Oscar and me and his mom, flowers and ornamental plants surrounded our back lawn. But on a perfect Saturday in May, we went all out and turned the yard into a floral paradise. We had set up the house in the yard for our wedding. Who says there aren't happy ever afters? Because I'm living mine. His name is Oscar, and I love him. He gave me my dreams back. The end. Thanks, friends, for joining me. I'm Gio, writer and reader of this story. If you would like to hear more stories about gay men falling in love, please visit my channel, Gio Allred, here on YouTube. See you next Wednesday for another story about love. Peace.